Hi everyone, in this video we're going to show you how to use the resolution visualizer in Reality Paint, both Pro and Standard. Let me show you where that feature is located. It's under Viewports and Display Mode and Resolution Visualizer. And it can also be found here in the shortcut drop-down menu right there. And this is what you'd call a quick toggle display mode where it's meant to go on or off quickly while you're in another display mode. So right now we're in color maps, that's what we're looking at. And you're going to want to be able to turn this on or be able to turn it off. Okay, but anyway, I'll get into that later. So let's first show what it does. So let's turn it back on again and take a look here. And so first off, there's a few things to note. We have it's color coded, and this color indicates the location in UV space. So it makes it really easy to spot where UV seams are. So for example, if I zoom into this area here, and let's rotate around, I notice this is quite obviously a UV seam because this is on one location of the UV map and this is on another location, and hence the color is discontinuous. Right? And the second thing you'll notice is this grid-like pattern that's showing up across the surface. And what this does is this is essentially, there's several pieces of information you're going to get from this. Number one is that you have this larger grid with a smaller and smaller still. Right? And so it gives you an idea of the scale of the map. And these individual little tiny squares here, these are individual pixels on the texture map. So when you're painting, that is the absolute smallest amount of detail you can get on this location because it's an individual pixel. Unless you remap the model or you increase the resolution of the texture map, that's going to be your hard limit when it comes to fine detail. So if you're trying to paint a lot of fine detail in an area like this and you notice it's not coming out right, then you go into this mode and you'll be able to quickly see why that's happening. And the second piece of information you get from this grid is this sort of thing where when you see the grid being nice and square or nice and rectangular, you know the UV map has been sort of flattened out nicely and it's relatively unwarped. In this area, the UV mapping has been warped quite significantly, and this is usually due to the way it's been UV mapped, because most models are UV mapped to minimize the number of seams. And when you do that, you introduce stretching. It's kind of a hand in hand. You're taking a 3D surface and flattening it out into 2D. The more seams you have, the less stretching you can do, and vice versa. If you want to have as little seams as possible, you're going to have a lot of stretching. That's just the natural way that UV mapping works. In any case, it often gives you some effects on the surface that you're not quite happy about, and you don't really know how to deal with it. But in this case, if you're painting some detail here and you're getting a little squiggly weirdness going on, you don't know why, then you can quickly toggle into this mode and immediately identify, oh yes, we have UV stretching here. Then that I'll make some adjustments. I'll try not to put too much detail here if the resolution is too low, because stretching isn't that much of an issue if it's a really high resolution map, but if it's low resolution and stretching, you tend to run into some problems. But anyway, what you're going to want to do with this feature, because it's really handy to toggle it on and off, is you're going to want to assign a hotkey. So if you right click, assign hotkey, and then you hit the key you want, right? Then in this case I did the key number 1, right? Then I can just quickly go back and forth and toggle it. So if I'm in here and I already have a paintbrush on a hotkey, so if you're painting and you go do and you're like, why is this kind of pixely? I'm not quite sure. And then you go into here and you can say, okay, well the resolution isn't that good, and over here this kind of angular shape that's due to the stretching on the UV map. And so okay, alright, so I know that this area, I should make it more blurry perhaps and not put too much detail or so on and so forth. I mean, you can do any number of things, or decide to increase the texture map, or you might even decide to re-UV map it. You can, but you have that information at your disposal. And so let's look at this area. This is a good example of showing multiple sort of resolutions on the same area. Now if you notice here, you have a nice crisp detail in the eyeball, and it's very pixely around the eyelid. And again, toggling into this mode, you can easily see, hey, there's a whole lot of pixels packed into this small area, right? While over here, there's not so many at all, right? So then you can, again, then you can say, well, that's either I live with it or I make some adjustments and do some re-UV mapping, or I increase the resolution of this map, or so on and so forth. But you have that tool at your disposal, so you're not just left guessing and wondering. Anyway, I hope you found this video insightful, and there's a lot more to come. And remember, it's the resolution visualizer. And here it is one more time. And you're going to want to put that on a hotkey because it's really good. Anyway, stay tuned for the next video, and I'll see you then.